Thank you, Damien. Minister, Ms. Sri, Acting President of SELA, James, President-elect, delegates, friends and supporters of IFLA and landscape architects around the world. It's wonderful to see you all here today. It's a great pleasure to be here. And I want to thank you for hosting the IFLA 55th World Council and Congress here in Singapore. Many of us have taken great interest in the transformation of Singapore, the garden city, the green city, city in the garden, biophilic city. It's the first time I've been here, and to see it is truly impressive. I really congratulate you. Thank you very much. Many of you perhaps are not too familiar with IFLA. It was set up just after the Second World War in 1948 in a great age of great optimism. It was sort of based on the same kind of process as the UN agencies. We're governed by the Constitution, bylaws and rules of procedure. And the World Council is made up of delegates from the national landscape architectural associations. The World Council is its governing body, where we make policy and set our future agenda, and that's what many of us have been doing over the last 2 days here in Singapore. So amongst you, there are all the delegates from probably 56 different nations. It's a truly extraordinary organisation to be part of. We're now in our 70th year, it's our 70th anniversary. We have people from Africa, from the Americas, from Europe, Asia Pacific of course, and our newly emerging region in the Middle East. We're accredited by UNESCO. We have an excellent reputation and relationships with many NGOs and other UN agencies, as well as businesses and communities around the world. Our vision is to be the leading international body promoting the creation of globally sustainable and balanced living environments from a landscape architectural perspective. And we do this by promoting the landscape architectural profession within a collaborative partnership of allied built environment professions, demanding the highest training in education, research and professional practice. We aim to provide leadership and stewardship in all matters. Things are really changing quite rapidly. Around the world, landscape architects are involved in city master planning, in regional planning, in infrastructural design, the development of economic strategies, and many other kinds of projects at a whole range of scales that have a profound impact on improving the quality of life for citizens and communities. And globally, because of this, landscape architecture with its interdisciplinary expertise is rapidly growing in status, and the benefits of employing a landscape architect from the beginning of the process, whether it's in the commissioning of projects, the planning and the development of the process of development, the managing of projects, is becoming very evident, as also governments recognise the power of landscape to help them achieve the 2030 UN Sustainable Development Goals. Now, I'm not talking about landscape just as the green stuff and the blue stuff. I want you to just think about where you grew up and how much that shaped you and who you are, your value and your culture. And when we start talking to communities and to clients and to decision makers around the world, when you talk to them in those terms about who you are, where you come from, that is a very powerful way of talking about landscape, and that's what's beginning to drive this change. And when landscape architects are employed appropriately at the beginning of the projects, the development can achieve a far better return on the investment. But more significantly, this is how landscape architects can ensure the development of, supported by enlightened clients and systems, we can ensure the development of more sustainable and resilient towns and squares, the urban realm, transport systems, parks, agriculture, forestry, energy and water systems, as well as creating a greater sense of place and community. And all of this is vital for successful, resilient and beautiful development in any country. In terms of education, it takes years of specialist education to qualify as a landscape architect. Such expertise cannot be gained as a subset of engineering or architectural degrees. If you look at any town or city where that's the case, and the evidence is unfortunately too clear to see. So there's a growing trend in many countries to regulate the landscape architectural profession. And I would urge governments and institutions around the world not to let this process go to waste, to ask us to help you if you need to help to develop the appropriate procedures. And more significantly, it's really important that you must resist any proposal to diminish the role of landscape architecture and actually, on the contrary, invest in the discipline and practice. And this is vitally important if we're to enable the profession to flourish and play a truly foundational role in the future development of countries globally, and to ensure that we can all work together to meet the global challenges faced by society. Within IFLA, we've established a number of policy statements that's going to drive the future work for the next 1 to 3 years. We need to look at IFLA accreditation for institutions where there's no national accrediting body or chamber for local universities, but there's also a significant demand from institutions that may already have a national accrediting body but want recognition of the IFLA World Body to establish their standing. We're beginning to develop those procedures. We need to look at a professional recognition system to enable landscape architects to work across the world, to go from country to country without having to retake local examination processes. One of the key areas that we're really interested in developing is, and a key area of concern for landscape architects around the world, is to understand how best to communicate the value of the profession. And there's really only one way to do this, I'm sure, and that's by example. So the desire to make Singapore the greatest greenest city in the world, this is a simple, powerful, strong idea with vision and determination, and it must be stressed, great political support. This city has been transformed, not just by landscape architects, but by other professions and organisations, including the National Parks Authority. And as always, it's that idea that's so important. I'm working in the UK on a new kind of national park, and this is another powerful example. The idea has caught the public imagination. It fits into the national political agenda. It connects with regional aspirations to do with jobs, skills, health, well-being, food, and water security. It fits into the national aspirations, into international aspirations in terms of the urban sustainable development goals. And it's driven by this new look of landscape, not just as technology, not just as decoration or cosmetics, but landscape as culture and identity, water, food, biodiversity. And I think if we're to demonstrate the value of landscape, we need to move beyond simply talking about the technical details and start talking about ideas, about expressing ideas to shape the experience of the people who live and work and visit the places we create. So I would like you to take the opportunity over the next 2 days, the next few months and years, to think about how this new way of looking at landscape can influence you as a landscape architect, as a politician, and as a government official. How can it be used to influence and inspire other professionals, communities, and other politicians? How can we work with the vision and ideas to find new solutions to old problems, as well as taking great care of the details? I think you have a very exciting congress lined up over the next 2 days. I hope you really enjoy yourself, and I hope to speak to many of you in the coming days. Thank you very much.